Hi, welcome to Garden House Studio TV. My name is Peggy, and this is my husband Wayne.
Hey, you're just in time for our next DIY video. Come on in.
You're a crafter. You cannot wait till December to start doing your crafts. It's this box, which I painted with milk paint. It's got Boxwood milk paint on it. It's this great green, and it's definitely all dried. It was raw wood, and we are going to put, oh, I think you might be able to see that, holiday greens on this. Now, I have used milk paint as my stencil medium, but today I am going to use my Wise Owl paint, and it is a little more difficult to use milk paint. You got to mix it to a really thick consistency, but we are going to use a chalk paint, which is what our Wise Owl chalk synthesis paint is. So first thing I'm going to do is measure this, and this, I don't know if you'll see it, but this stencil says holiday greens. So the first thing we're going to do is just measure I'm going to measure how big my box is. Oh, it's a funny 19 3/4. And how big is my stencil is 17. So I have what, like almost an inch and a half. Let's see how big we can do this. So we'll do an inch, and that's going to be pretty good. An inch and 3/8 on either side. And I have my tape. I'm going to tape that down. These boxes are not exactly square or even. They're old boxes. I painted them with milk paint because I really like the way when we sand this back, you'll see a little bit of the wood. But because this is very well already cured, I'm not worried that this tape is going to pull my paint off. These are the thickest stencils I've ever used. I used to think 10 gauge was really heavy. These are 15. These will last forever. So I am going to get my paint ready. My go-to for stenciling is a paper plate, green tape, paper towels, and a stencil brush. So first thing I'm going to do is open my paint here and stir it up. And this is a chalk paint, so it's nice and thick. And you need such a small amount of paint that just whatever comes off on the stick is probably enough. Just a tiny little bit of paint. Put that there, grab my stencil brush. So when I stencil, tiny little bit of paint. If you do any stenciling, you know it's very, very little paint, and you take most of it off. So I put some on my brush. I take it off because I don't want a lot on. I don't want my paint going underneath the stencil. So I'm going to start over here, and we'll start with a little bit, and I want to make sure this is a little tricky. If you can see, there's a board down here, and because that board is raised up a little more than this one, it's lifting the stencil a little bit. So I'm going to have to push this down while I'm doing it, and we'll see, make sure that that doesn't get under the edge. And a nice big stencil brush is good because you can go really fast. And that's what you want to do. You don't want to hang out on any letter and get it so that it's you're overworking it and it's going underneath. And this is definitely an uneven board. Let me see how that's coming out. I got to turn that around for a second. Make sure I got it all. Lift it up a little bit. I think we got it all. Let's do that one a little This bottom one is a little harder because that board is right there, pushing the stencil up. But we're gonna say done. Okay, so this is our first Christmas in July project. Ready for the reveal. See how we did. There you go. I think we did really well. There is no place where it is underneath the stencil. Now I will sand this when this dries. I will super lightly sand this, and that is only because I have to put a top coat on the whole thing. So I'll super lightly put, but you want it to kind of look a little bit vintagey. But holiday greens. This is Boxwood milk paint. Let's do the other side. You saw how quick that goes. And since we already have the brush dirty, let's do it again. Okay, 1 3/8 was how far over. Now, if you don't like the way a stencil looks, meaning I do go back and just do that little bit there, just leave one side taped down and lift it up a little bit and then do it. So let's see. There we go. Second side, holiday greens. Now, when we sand this a little bit and then wax it, the color will get much brighter. The other thing is, if you don't like these little register marks, the marks that are in between, you can go and you can paint them with a little tiny paintbrush. It's a little difficult because you did the painting so lightly when you stenciled it, it sometimes comes out really, really bright. So what I would do if I wanted that to be a solid R, if you see where the R is, it has that divider in there. I would then go back and stencil the whole thing again after you put the paint in between to finish those letters. This is good because really it's just the R, the A, there's just a few letters. A lot of these don't have those register marks, or whatever those marks are called in between. But do you see how quickly we just did our first Christmas craft? The holiday greens stencil, and we have these. We will put these on the website today, and they will be available. And we have more coming. And we'll show you other projects using these stencils. So that is my introduction to the Jamie Ray Vintage Stencils and our first Christmas in July.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.
And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.